Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to go over the project update for my robot project, and this is for course 2. So as you can see, the robot is rotating a little bit to the left and right, moves back and forth, and then the upper link is moving up and down as well. The little white shims are just basically scotch tape, and what that does is basically stabilize the arm at the joint at the bottom. There's a little round plate where the second motor attaches to, and that's where it rotates and it rocks back and forth. So I have some temporary shims in place to just stabilize that spot. So when looking at the wires, I have these little white connector pieces, and I'll talk about those in a second. What I'll focus on in the moment is there's this little barrel plug, and it's just an adapter. I bought that on Amazon. They come in packs of 10. There's a male and female end, but in this case I'm only using the female end. And that goes to the breadboard that's seen on the base plate. And here's a close-up of the white quick disconnect. The white quick disconnect allows me to quickly change out the wires while testing. The breadboard has a voltage regulator. That's to ensure the power supply to the servo motors is 5 volts. You can see a little PCB that has nothing soldered to it. It's a little test board. And although it's not connected right now, this is the LCD screen that displays messages as the recipe is run. I did make a test board that I soldered with LED lights, a barrel plug, there's a voltage regulator, some resistors, and an on-off switch. Unfortunately, it isn't working at the moment, so I'll need to check the soldering, make sure that the contacts are good. So let's now talk about the user interface I put together for the robot arm. Building off the programming concepts course I took over the summer, I used Windows Forms to create a GUI or GUI to drive the robot and manage the program recipes. To start, there's a simple login form used to enter credentials for basically a layer of security. Once into the program, there's buttons for connecting to and disconnecting from the Arduino board. I added a list box to display the different comms that are available on the computer. And below the connect and disconnect buttons, there's 3 buttons to go to some of the other forms. There's a recipe management form, a visual page to see the robot with the cameras that I purchased, and to go to a test form where it's just basically a place to test out the GUI features, and it's separate from the other forms, so it doesn't interfere with any of the work that's being done. In the recipe management form, there's a couple of test recipes that I added. I can use the load to display button to display the contents of the recipe to the rich text box on the right. There's also a queuing list box that you can copy over the recipes that you want to queue into a specific order. The arrow buttons allow you to add, remove, and reorder the files as needed. If you make a change to a file in the rich text box, you can use the Save Recipe button to save the updated file. The Load to Robot, Start Robot, and Stop Robot buttons are in place, but they're not currently active. In a lower left pane, you can see there's slider bars for moving each of the servo motors for the robot, and they're assigned numbers 0 to 7, and this goes from the effector back up the arm to the base. The text boxes on the right give the corresponding percentage value and the servo pulse length value relative to the slider bar position. The slider bars aren't currently set up with the Arduino code to run the robot arm. It's just it's a placeholder for when the actual Arduino code is updated. So back on Form 1, there's a text box that can send a message to the LCD screen. This was more of a connectivity test and then a necessary element, so it'll probably be removed in the final version of the GUI. On each of the forms, there's a logout button that takes you back to the login form anytime, so that does work, and it's a matter of convenience. And finally, this is the Arduino code. I used this to test 3 of the servo motors out of the 8. The reason that the first servo starts with the number 0 is that's the assigned value that's on the servo shield, so it aligns, it's easier to match up 0 to 0 instead of trying to figure out 0 to 1, with an increment of 1 for every thing. I just kept it the same. During the test, I define the number of servos, assign which ones are active, and define the min and max pulse length. Then the main loop runs to move between the min and max values for each of the servos that were defined above. You can see the error message where the Arduino is not connected on COM4. Then I connect the Arduino to the computer with the USB cable, and I upload the sketch to the board. Then I open up the serial monitor and you can see the system report out where it is in the sequence. So let's talk about what's coming up next. So of course, the next thing that needs to be worked on is to continue working on the code. This will be an ongoing endeavor. Then I need to finalize the dry erase board position for writing and erasing. You can see in the sketch there's a placeholder for where the board will be. That's not the final version of what it's going to be, but that is where I'm at the moment. I'm going to have to enhance the strength of the joints, especially where any of the flanges are turning. And I need to integrate Python into the GUI Forms application. So I've got the package installed, but now it needs to be utilized. As you can see, I have IronPython installed in PythonNet, and I do have camera modules that can be installed. I haven't installed them yet, but that's going to be coming soon. And for the modularity, I've been looking at these little Adafruit breakout boards. Since they're only $5 a piece, it would be nice to have something that can identify each module in the ARM, so it would have its own specific identifier and potentially its own controller. So the Arduino main board would be the central hub, and each modular unit that's either connected or disconnected would be controlled through that breakout board. It's just something I'm looking into. I haven't actually decided on going with that, but it's something that I'm considering. If you liked the video, hit the like button, and I'll see you all next time.